Again, and welcome to the Citiuation Room, coming to you live from our studios here in Accra. You're aware of Citiuation Room, we talk politics and everything that has to do with politics in this country. On today's edition of the Citiuation Room, as you're aware, we'll talk about the New Patriotic Party. You know, the party is preparing to elect a presidential candidate for the 2028 general election on the 31st of January 2026. Today, the committee, that's the NPP Presidential Elections Committee, held a press conference to brief Ghanaians and party foot soldiers as well as party stakeholders on the preparation for the much anticipated and much awaited for elections of January 31st, 2026. We'll bring you an update on this particular press conference. What committee chairperson told journalists at this press conference, and what party people should expect as the party prepares to elect a presidential candidate. And also, on Citiuation Room today, the Speaker of Parliament announced some absentees in Parliament. Remember, there was, a hula baloo with regards to some members of Parliament who have been outside the chamber for a number of weeks. We continue with that conversation today. Today, we bring you detailed discussion of who are these individuals, who, if some of them are ministers of state, and the reasons why they absent themselves from Parliament for a period of time. You're welcome back. You're watching the Citiuation Room, coming to you live from our studio here in Accra. I am Sami Wiafe, and as always, I'm here with Fred Tete Ijabano. As I told you earlier, we're discussing two issues today. The New Patriotic Party, the party's elections committee, the committee mandated by the National Council of the NPP to run the party's presidential primaries on January 31st, 2026, held a press conference today to brief Ghanaians and party delegates who will be electing on the 31st of January, preparations ahead of the elections, security, modalities, the printing of ballots, the notice of poll and the likes. They held a press conference today. And remember, that particular committee is chaired by Joe Osei, the former member of Parliament for the Bekwai constituency and the former First Deputy Speaker of Ghana's Parliament. They held a press conference today to brief Ghanaians on preparation for the much awaited and much anticipated NPP presidential primaries. Also today on the Citiuation Room, we'll discuss the issue of absenteeism in Parliament. Not too long ago, there was a report from the chamber where a listed number of members of Parliament who have been outside or absent from the chamber for a period of time, and the reasons behind it. There's some who obtained permission from the Speaker and others who did not obtain permission from the Speaker to be absent from Parliament. That particular conversation has generated debate even among members of Parliament, with some of them disputing this particular report that came from the chamber. Today on the Citiuation Room, we'll discuss this absenteeism in Parliament and the reaction that has greeted it. And we'll also give you details on who are these individuals. Are they ministers of state? Are they deputy ministers? Do they hold any other office? The reasons behind why they absent themselves from Parliament for a period of time. So these are the two issues we are discussing today on the Citiuation Room. My name is Sami Wiafe, as always, and I'm here with Fred Tete Ijabano. Fred, how are you? Good afternoon.
Sami, I'm well. How are you too?
I'm well. I'm very, very well. God is still keeping me. How's the week been?
It's been okay. I mean, Parliament has resumed sitting, so this week has been a lot of parliamentary work. We've also had the issue of the illegal mining.
Yeah.
Galamsey, one of the MPs had been accused of leading a mob to attack NIMOS, members of the NIMOS team, who were somewhere trying to prevent and stop illegal miners from operating. So it's been one issue which has been on the lips of everybody. Even in Parliament, the parliamentarians have been discussing, accusing each other, both minority and majority, of pushing the whole illegal mining business. Even though we shouldn't politicize this, you see our politicians, especially the members of Parliament, doing that. Outside that, the NPP candidates, like you mentioned earlier, have still been crisscrossing the country, campaigning. As we speak now, we have about a month and some few days. The last time we were here, it was 40 days to the election. So we have close to about 30-something days to the election of January 31st, where the NPP would elect a flag bearer ahead of the 2028 elections. the candidates have been going across the country.
Yeah. I think Dr. Boamah is in the Western region. He was in the Western North.
Western North.
And then he moved to the Western region proper. His wife is somewhere in the Central region also campaigning. We are talking that Japan is somewhere in the BA area, yes, also campaigning. Kwame Japan. Almost all the candidates are, campaigning across the length of Brian Champo. I'm told is in the Ashanti region, yes, also campaigning. So last minute campaigning,
Will you say last minute?
But if you've got only a month to election, you say it's last minute campaigning.
It's not last minute yet. It's not last minute. They're still on the road. I mean, when we hit January next year, we could now say last minute.
Last minute campaigning.
Now, campaigning is still ongoing. Whilst campaigning is ongoing, the party is also putting in preparations to ensure that the elections are held in a free and fair manner. The committee in charge of that particular elections has been speaking to the media today, briefing the media about preparations, basically on the issue of the album and the preparations ahead of the party in relation, ahead of the election in relation to the album. The party has been also talking about security. Yeah. It's been talking about the printing of ballot voting materials and the voting papers and other things. But you today have been following that keenly. What is at the actual state of the ballots in terms of the album for the party's 31st January election? What has the party been saying about this particular album? Okay, so I'll give a general view of what the press conference was about in the briefing. So about the printing and distribution of the notice of poll, the committee says that has been done and has been dispatched to all regional and constituency secretariats and to the various presidential aspirants. So that has been done. About the completion of operational guidance, the committee said it has completed the operational guidelines governing the primaries. They will soon be presented to the aspirants, their representatives, and stakeholders for compliance. And then you talk about stakeholder engagement, meaning the engagement with the Electoral Commission, the Ghana Police Service, who are supposed to provide security on the day of election. They say they've been engaging them, they've been talking to them, and they'll be doing day in, day out, engagement with these stakeholders before the election, during the election, and after the election. And then they spoke about security. The committee says that on the day of election proper, is the Ghana Police Service that will be given the exclusive right to ensure security on the day of election. The party says it will not allow any presidential candidate to come with their own, unquote, bodyguards or own security details during the day of election. So they will not allow that. The Ghana Police Service are the only institution that has been mandated to ensure security during the election. It also says that it has given the oversight role as far as the election is concerned to the Electoral Commission, and the Electoral Commission will supervise the entire conduct of the primaries, including printing, distribution, monitoring of ballot papers, as well as the enforcement of operational guidance. And in fact, he also spoke about the selection of voting centers. Now, the committee says to guarantee the equity in all this, they have tasked the Electoral Commission with recommending voting centers and venues, which shall be subsequently be submitted for the candidates and the accredited representatives for their attention and consideration. So for now, they are still in the process of selecting the voting centers. Because it's a nationwide election, the suspicion is that they will use all the polling centers or polling stations that may be used or that is normally used for the national election. So in instances where there are like 2 or 3 in a particular area, they may want to cluster it and make it only one polling center, depending on the distance of this thing. So the last election, I recall that what the party did was that, like you said, they put a number of polling stations together within a constituency. Then they vote at one polling center. So instead of going to the various polling stations to vote, the constituency would come and vote at one particular center. I'm not sure whether it's going to be the same way this time round, or maybe they might decide to use the electoral area but
method. This time around the numbers have increased.
Yes.
It's not like the previous one where we had a certain number, but this time around there'll be some increase in the number. And so because of the new development, that's why they are consulting the Electoral Commission and see where they will site these polling centers or voting centers. My belief, my understanding or my suspicion is that they may want to stick to the national election where we have over 42,000 polling stations across the country or sort of, and then they'll use those places for election. Another issue that came up first was the national album, which has always been an issue when it comes to, you know, elections within the new patriotic party. It's been, you know, a very thorny issues in the NPP. Now the committee says the nationwide voter album verification exercise encompassing all constituencies and external branches have been successfully conducted. During the process, some minor IT-related discrepancies were identified, including omission, misspelled names, and inaccurate entries for voter ID and telephone numbers. These are purely administrative in nature and do not in any way affect the integrity and credibility of the voter register. I am pleased to report that all such issues are currently being rectified. It continues that additionally, the exercise confirmed reports of some delegates who have passed on, as well as others who have forfeited their membership pursuant to Article 391 of the party's constitution. In the interest of full transparency and fairness, all aspirants will be furnished with a provisional voter register on Thursday, November 13th, 2025. 2 weeks will be provided for verification, observation, and feedback before finalizing the register. So this is from the committee.
Yes, before we go on this particular point, I want you to remind us of the constitution of the delegates going to vote in this particular election. Because you recall that during the last annual conference, the party made some amendments, added some people. So if you could give us a rough picture of exactly who makes the delegates for this particular election.
Okay, so let's start with the polling station executives, the chairman, the secretary, the organizer, the women's organizer, and I think the youth organizer in the polling station. But now they've added 2 more people to it, making it 7. And then you have the electoral area coordinators. And then now they've included the former appointees, also adding up to the polling station, to the delegate level. And then there are the constituency executives, the regional executives. So with the new inclusion and the new numbers that you've added in there, you are looking at, let's say, in every constituency, depending on the number of polling stations you have in a constituency. So for the polling station, there are 7 now. 7 individuals now, and we are adding
but the 2, I think the party clarified that this particular elections they will not be part because they've not been elected.
They've not been elected, yeah.
Yes,
but I remember that some of them are also going to be by mere appointment.
Yes,
the party announced that
the party issued a statement. I recall that the party issued a statement indicating that the 2 additional people would not be part of this election because they have not gone through that process.
Yeah.
And I think the party wants to avoid the situation where, even if it's by appointment, people will be appointed and they'll be accusing hands at people. So the party is going to put on hold those 2 people who are to be added to the polling stations executives. Then the electoral area executives, those people too will be put on hold. But the people who would make the new...
the former appointees.
The former appointees.
The former appointees will be included. So the former appointees, we are talking about, I think, former members of parliament.
Yes.
Former ministers, you know, former
district
chief executives. And then we are looking at
the appointees in terms of chief
executives who are true members of the party.
Card-bearing members.
Card-bearing members. And then we are looking at former ambassadors and high commissioners as well. They will be part of this new electoral rule or delegate system. So all in all, we'll have, let's say in a constituency, and I said earlier, depending on the number of polling centers, the numbers will vary. The numbers will vary from constituency to constituency. So some constituency may have in total, let's say, 5,000 in a constituency. Others may have 2,000, depending on the number of polling stations within that constituency. But we are told that this year or next year voting, they may have close to 300,000 or even 400,000 people, you know, voting, compared to the last one, where around 250,000 or so. But because of the inclusion of the former appointees and the rest, we may have to close to 300 or 400,000 people voting in this particular election. The more reason why you see the expansion in the album. And the committee took it upon itself to verify, do proper works as far as this album is concerned, so that there will not be any issues of, you know, I've been cheated, I've been denied of my voting rights and the likes.
I'm hoping the party would give a breakdown as to the number of appointees who have been added, the number of new people who have been added. You know, usually when the Electoral Commission puts up an album and compiles an album, they give us a breakdown as to the details of who makes the album, which are the new registered voters and all those things. I'm hoping that with this particular election, the party would be able to give us an idea or a breakdown of the constitution of the delegates, especially the number of new entrants being the old appointees or ex-appointees of the previous government and previous NPP governments. Because if you are going to add former MPs may start from 96. So how many of them are we looking at? How many of them have been added to this particular album? That would give you an understanding of where the party is going.
So the chairman of the committee, Joe Osei-Usu, the former member of parliament for Bekwai and former first deputy speaker of Ghana's parliament, addressed a press conference not too long ago in respect of these arrangements, as I've mentioned to you. Let's hear exactly what he said. And when we come back, we'll speak to a member of this committee to give details of things said at this press conference.
The Electoral Commission will supervise the entire conduct of the primaries, including the printing, distribution, and monitoring of ballot papers, as well as enforcement of operational guidelines. Selection of voting centers. To guarantee neutrality and equity, we have tasked the Electoral Commission with recommending voting centers or venues, which shall subsequently submitted to the candidates or the accredited representatives for their attention and consideration. 8. Nationwide album verification and validation exercise. The nationwide voter album verification and validation exercise, encompassing all constituencies and external branches, has been successfully concluded. During the process, some minor IT-related and clerical discrepancies were identified, including omissions, misspelled names, and inaccurate entries for voter ID and telephone numbers. These are purely administrative in nature and do not in any way affect the integrity or credibility of the voters' register. I'm pleased to report that all such issues are currently being rectified. Additionally, the exercise confirmed report of some delegates who have passed on, as well as others who have forfeited their membership pursuant to Article 391 of the party's constitution. In the interest of full transparency and fairness, all aspirants will be furnished with the provisional voter register on Thursday, November 13th. This interaction reflects our unwavering commitment to transparency, accountability, and open communications to share our activities with the public in general and in particular the media. You'd recall that the National Council, at its sitting on Friday, July 25, 2025, constituted this committee with a clear mandate to plan, organize, supervise, and execute the entire presidential election process. The committee's operational philosophy has been rooted in proactive engagement, early dispute resolution, swift and transparent communication to preempt suspicion and strengthen confidence in the integrity of the process. The committee has adopted a strict policy to proactively address and resolve any issues that come up while ensuring transparent communication to mitigate any potential suspicion. Policy that all issues will be resolved and responded to prevent suspicion. We have taken several steps to address and resolve issues effectively. From the inception, we have adhered to a zero-tolerance policy for opacity, ensuring that all issues are handled expeditiously and transparently to uphold the sanctity of the process.
Joseph Osei-Usu, he's the former member of parliament for the Bekwai constituency and former first deputy speaker of Ghana's parliament. He's the chairman of the NPP Presidential Elections Committee, the committee mandated by the National Council, the second highest decision-making body of the NPP, to supervise the party's January 31st presidential primaries that will see to the election of a presidential candidate who will lead the party going into the election of 2028. As you're aware, 5 individuals are rooting or are campaigning across the length and breadth of this country to lead the party going to the election of 2028. As you're aware, Dr. Isaac Boamah is in there, Dr. Baine Champon is in there, former Education Minister Dr. Yawose Duchum is in there, Kennedy Ohine Japan is also in there, and Kwabena Eje Japan. 5 of them rooting to be the next presidential candidate of the new Patriotic Party. And Joe Wise, as we call him, is the chairman of the committee mandated to supervise this election. Fred, you had Joe Wise in there. The committee will ensure transparency, ensure that the elections are peaceful, and then the outcome is accepted by all.
Yes, that's very important. That's very important in the sense that the party is looking at uniting to ensure victory in 2028 against the NDC and the current government. To be able to achieve that, one of the things you need to do is to ensure that everybody is satisfied when it comes to the election of a leader. And if you are not satisfied, what is going to happen is that you are going to cause a lot more divisions within the party. As we speak now, when you go around and you watch around and you listen to the members of parliament or the candidates campaign and even their followers campaign, you get to realize that there's a bit of some bickering and divisions, basically because of the 31st January election. So if you have such an election and you are not able to manage the process very well, what you're going to do is going to cause more problems for the party. So for me, it's good to know that the party wants to ensure that the election is first fair, it's free, and it's very peaceful. That's a very important thing the party is putting down. And one of the things the party wants to do to ensure that they achieve this aim is to meet the candidates in this particular election. We are told that the committee would meet the candidates. The committee would then meet the candidates again with the National Executive Committee and the National Council. Yeah. Then the committee would go ahead to be having a weekly meeting with the representatives of the various candidates in this particular election, in an effort to ensure that they are updated at every point as to what is happening, so that people can raise issues when there are issues. It's part of our growing process as a country. When you have political parties towing this line, it's good for first for them, it's good for the country. So for me, I think that so far so good. The NPP and the committee working to ensure the 31st general election comes off or takes place, they are doing a good job, but then they are expected to face challenges.
A number of challenges.
Number of challenges.
It will come up.
When the election gets closer, they will be facing a lot more challenges. And we hope that they are able to find a resolution to these challenges when they come in. Already
you are aware that the Canada-Japan team has set up an anti-rigging squad. That will, they say that this squad will ensure that they are not cheated or there's no rigging during this election. And so even from the camps of the candidate themselves, they are putting in place measures to ensure that they are not shortchanged, so that at least when the final results come, it will be a true reflection of what the delegates within the new Patriotic Party have really voted for, who they want to lead the party go into the election. And as Fred mentioned, the committee said they have some outstanding issues that they need to tackle before the elections of January 31st. For instance, the meeting with the presidential candidates to discuss roadmap guidelines and assurance of fairness and transparency. The presentation of provisional voter register or album to the candidates. It also says a conference or meeting with the presidential candidates, EC, the police, and other stakeholders within the party. And the conference also to meet the presidential candidate, National Council, former president, to sign a memorandum of understanding ahead of the January 31st election. And then the printing of the ballots, which will be supervised by the Electoral Commission. And then, as Fred mentioned, a bi-weekly meeting with the presidential candidates or their accredited representatives. So it looks like the party has a comprehensive package to ensure that there's transparency, free and fair election on January 31st, so that the outcome will be accepted by. We'll go for a quick break. When we come back, we'll speak to a member of the committee that has been tasked to ensure that the elections are free, fair, and peaceful. Welcome back. You're still watching The Situation Room, coming to you live from our studio here in Accra. My name is Sami Wiaf, and as always, I'm here with Fred Tete Ijabon. As I mentioned before we went on that break, I told you that we're going to speak to a member of the Elections Committee of the New Patriotic Party, the Presidential Elections Committee, the committee mandated by the National Council of the NPP to run a peaceful presidential primaries on January 31st, 2026. An election that the outcome will be accepted by all, an election that many people will think it was free, fair, and peaceful. Let's go on Zoom and speak to Isaac Boamah-Nyarko. He's the member of Parliament for the Efia constituency in the Western region and a member of this committee that was set up by the National Council of the NPP. Today they held a press conference to brief Ghanaians and party members in general the processes and modalities leading up to the election of January 31st. Thank you very much for your time. You had a press conference today rolling out the modalities. One issue that has come up in many conversations is the album that will be used for this election. We know at the party's national conference not too long ago, the party made some amendment to the constitution and added individuals. So which of these individuals have been added to the album and that are eligible to vote on January 31st?
Thank you very much, Sami, for having me, and a very good afternoon to your cherished viewers and listeners. Can you hear me, please?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Very well. And so, as you rightly indicated, this committee has been in operation since July when it was set up by National Council. And our prime objective is to ensure a very successful election for the 31st of January. Now, to ensure transparency, we have made it our case as a committee that we would be briefing Ghanaians, we'll be briefing the party members as well as the presidential aspirants, and assure them that this committee is in to provide a free and fair and transparent election. Now, to go into an election, one of the most critical ingredients is the voters' album. And the voters' album, we had our own voters' album, which we used in the 2023 election. And as you rightly indicated, post our conference, some amendments have been made to our constitution. Now, principal among the additions which led to the voter validation has to do with former executives who have been mandated by our amendments to be able to participate. So we have former constituency executives, we have former members of parliament, we have former parliamentary candidates, we have former MMDCs or MMDCs in the case if you were in power. All of them have been integrated into the voter population. Now, it was very incumbent for us as a committee to go around to the various regions, particularly all the constituencies, to ensure that the information that we received at the national level, we have worked on them. They are accurate and true reflection of what the people who qualify under our amendment to vote. And so this is what led the elections committee to visit all the constituencies over the past 3 weeks to review the data with the constituents and to ensure that the informations are aligned. Now we are back to the national level to reconcile all the information that we have received. And we have made it a part of us that in the next 2 weeks, the committee will complete its work and make sure that the album is available for verification by the aspirants before we go into the main election.
Before asking my next question, I think there's a radio set or a TV at the background which is also giving us some feedback here. I'll be glad if you can just
Parliament,
reduce.
I'm in the office, but it's the parliamentary.
The parliamentary speaker. Okay, I get.
Yes, I'm sure it's ended. Yes,
Okay,
so
thank you very much. So my next question, as committee members, I'm sure you've been meeting stakeholders, the Electoral Commission, the security, which is the Ghana Police Service, on how to maintain, law, order, and peace during the election, process. What has been your engagement with these major stakeholders?
Yeah, so rightly so, this election cannot be done without engaging critical stakeholders like the Electoral Commission, the Ghana Police Service, amongst others. So immediately the committee was set up after our first meeting. We called a meeting with the Ghana Police Service. We met the top hierarchy of the police. We mapped up our strategy for the elections, and we indicated to them that we want the Ghana Police to take full charge of the security situation in our upcoming elections. And we are preparing guidelines in which we have indicated in it that we are not going to allow any private security or any other person who purports to be protecting anybody to be at the site of voting. And so clearly security is under the care of Ghana Police. We've had extensive engagements with them. They've already gone into their strategies to protect the elections as we go into. And we are assuring all aspirants that security will be very tight. We are going to ensure that nobody comes in to tamper with the credibility of the elections. Now, with regards to the EC, we have also engaged them. We have settled in terms of EC being the full authority to conduct the elections for the party. The EC have been there with us when we did the notice of polls, and the whole printing exercise for this election is also under the care of Electoral Commission, and we have written to the presidential aspirants to get us their representatives or agents to walk us through this electoral process with the Electoral Commission. We just want to make sure that everything is very clear, everything is very transparent, there's credibility in the exercise, so that at the end of the day, it is the party's interest that we are seeking, not any individual's interest. And I'm sure that engagement with the Electoral Commission and the police has been very successful. We are monitoring by the day the timelines that we've set for ourselves, and very soon the EC will be directed to go ahead and do the printing for us.
Honorable, do you have an idea of the number of old executive and former appointees who have been added to this particular register? And also, if possible, do you have any idea or the total number of delegates going to partake in this particular election?
All right, thank you very much. So importantly, we've just returned from our regional validation or constituency validation visits. Today we've had a meeting after the press conference. We met with the IT team. They are putting together and consolidating the reports that we have received across the country. It will be very early day for me to indicate the total number of additions in terms of former executives, the diasporans who are supposed to vote, amongst others. I'm sure as a committee, in a matter of a week to a week and a half, we should have completed the provisional album. And once we complete it, we can go ahead and share the fine details with the public as well as the presidential aspirant. But what I can assure you one thing is that the validation exercise that we went to do, we were able to fully reconcile all the past executives from 1992 up to today, those who are alive and are eligible to vote. And we've been able to conclude in terms of all our former NMDCs, the parliamentary candidates, amongst others. And so we have a fair numbers, but it will be very early on my part to put it out there when we have not completed the validation. So give us a week and a half. I'm sure we can come back to the provisional details in terms of the total delegates who will be entitled to vote.
All right, we'll say a big thank you for your time. Isaac, since you are in Parliament, I'll leave you to go back to the chamber so that you are not marked absent. And your name does not come out as an absentee MP. So I'll leave you to go back to the chamber. Thank you.
Thank you very much. But before I leave, let me assure the New Patriotic Party and the presidential aspirants, that this is a very important exercise to us as a party. For the committee that have been set up, we have made sure that we will be very, very fair, we will be very, very transparent, we will be very open to ensure that there's credibility in the exercise. So they shouldn't hesitate. If they have any concerns, they shouldn't hesitate to bring it to the attention of the committee, and we would immediately address them so that we can go into this process with a lot of trust and transparency to elect the next member of the party. Thank you very much for having me, my brother.
Thank you very much for your time. Isaac Boamah-Nyarko is the Member of Parliament for the FIA constituency in the Western region and the member of the NPP Elections Committee set up by the National Council of the party to oversee or supervise the party's January 31st, 2026 primaries to elect a presidential candidate who will lead the party going to the election of 2028. This is the situation coming to you live from our studio here in Accra. We just spoke to a Member of Parliament. Now let's go back to the chamber. Not too long ago, there was a report from Parliament that says that some members of Parliament have been absent from the House for close to 43 times, some with permission, some without permission. There are some who are ministers of state, deputy ministers, and others who are not. Today, we'll give you a breakdown of those who are ministers of state and who went out or who were absent in Parliament with permission, and those who were absent without permission. Fred will take us through those members of Parliament who were absent in our. Fred, what do we have?
So this report gave us an idea of the number of people or number of members of Parliament who have not been attending parliamentary sitting. What we have now on our screen is a short list of 28 of them who were absent without permission. So the report has MPs who were not in Parliament with permission, and MPs who were not in Parliament with permission, and the number of times they've absented themselves from the House. So we start with the highest number of the highest MP with the number of absentees being absent from Parliament. Joseph Frimpong. Joseph Frimpong has been absent. Joseph Frimpong is MP for Nkoko. He's been absent for 22 times. So this particular report starts from January to March of this year. So the first session of Parliament. So he was absent for 22 times from Parliament, MP, Member of Parliament for
Nkoko constituency.
The next person in the list, the highest number, is Dr. Kesela Tuforsen, the Member of Parliament for Ejumakon Enyam Esiene. He's also Minister for Finance. He's been absent for 17 times, followed by Amabley Nyameke. Amabley Nyameke is MP for Second D. He has been absent for 16 times. He wasn't in Parliament, in the parliamentary chamber for 16 times between the period of January and March. Followed by the Foreign Affairs Minister, MP for Norton, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, who has been absent or absented himself 14 times during that particular sitting. We have Dr. Nana Eyu Efriye, MP for Efidiase Asokore. He's also been absent for 14 times. Followed by Boatin Kwabna. He is MP for Ejiso. He's been absent for 13 times. We have Dr. Pelpo Abdul Rashid Hassan, Wa Central, 13 times. Minister for Employment and Labor. Ernest Yao Enim, MP for Kumewu, 11 times. Ernest Yao Enim has responded to this particular report. He says that he thinks that there's been some misunderstanding, but the person who he believes has been, the report wanted to identify was the former MP who passed away. The Akwetia MP? The Akwetia MP.
So he is NS Yao Kumi? Okay, and
so
he is NS Yao Enim. Oh, okay.
So he has come to clarify and say...
So more or less like mistaken identity.
That's what he claims. That's what he claims. He's followed by John Abdullahi Jinapo, who is Minister for Energy. He's also not been in Parliament was not in Parliament 11 times between January and March. Kwatin Kweku Ajiman, MP for Obuase, 11 times. He also, has also absented himself for 11 times. When you look at Kweku Kwarteng, one of the things you can attribute to it is the fact that he's been following the campaign.
The campaign, yeah. He's part of the Kennedy-Japan
campaign. So he's been following the campaign. So it looks like the campaign seems to be very important.
He's taking more of his time.
Yes, for him at this time of the country's development. We have Akando Kwabena, the health minister, MP for Drabuso. He's absented himself 10 times. Then you have Ampar Bentreme Simon. He's the MP for Kumewu 10 times.
Okay.
We have Kwabna Otri Darko Mensah, MP for Takrade, former Western Regional Minister. He's also been out for 10 times. Ibrahim Ahmed, local government minister, MP for Banda, 10 times. Abdul Salam. He's also been absent for 10 times.
He's an NDC member of Parliament.
NDC member of Parliament 10 times. Alexander Akwesi Akwa, Akimodan, he's been out for 8 sit-ins.
On the ticket of the NPP.
On the ticket of the NPP. Vincent Opong Asamoah, he's also been out for 8 sit-ins. He's MP for Doma West.
Doma West. I think NDC.
He's an NDC member.
Member of Parliament.
Yes. Dr. Ayine Dominic,
Attorney General.
Attorney General. He's MP for the Bogatanga East constituency. He's also been out for 8 good times. We have Bentil Godfred Henry, MP for Mpoho, NDC.
The first time MP.
First time MP.
Yeah.
Would actually show our viewers a breakdown of the first time MPs
okay,
who have not been in Parliament. Dr. Gideon Boako, 8 times, MP Tano North. You could also attribute his
on the campaign.
to the campaign. You have Emmanuel Amabua. He's MP for Elembele, Minister for Lands, 8 times. The Minister for Tourism, Abla Jifa Gomashi, MP for K2 South. She's also been out for 8 times. Then we have Dr. Godfred Gisao, MP for Wa East, absented himself 8 times. Mohammed Mubarak Muntaka 8 times, Asawase MP.
Interior Minister.
Then we have Market Nawan. He's MP for Nabdam.
Yeah, NDC. And he's currently the chairman of the Health Committee of Parliament.
Exactly. He's been there, he's been out for 8 times without permission. So all these people have been out without permission.
Okay.
Then we have Felix Akwete Ni Okle. He's MP for Botiano Ingleshi, Amanfrum. He's been out
the NDC.
for 8 times. Then Gloria Wusu, MP for Trobo 8 times,
on the ticket of the NPP.
Then Mame Pokwea Quinsta Soya, she's MP for Agona East.
On the ticket of
on
the
the
NDC.
ticket of the NDC.
I think she's even the chairperson of the local
government committee
of Parliament. Yeah.
They had been going around
DCs and the likes,
during the break.
Yeah.
But these people had absented themselves for a number of periods. These are the highest, the top 20, 5 people who have absented themselves from the sitting of the House between January and March. Let's look at the number of them who are ministers in this particular thing, the number of them who are ministers. If you want to also even look at the top 10, the top 10, we can give you the top 10, but let's look at the number of the people or the ministers in this particular list.
Who are also members of Parliament.
Who are also members of Parliament. These are all members of Parliament. So these people, you could attribute their absenteeism to the fact that probably they may have been performing duties of the executive. Duties of the executive, ministerial position and ministerial duties. Dr. Kesel Ato-Forsen, Minister of Finance. He wasn't in Parliament for 17 times. The Foreign Affairs Minister, who had been traveling across the country.
For him, you can understand him, and you may want to pardon him because of his role as Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ghana's chief diplomat. There are instances you have to travel a number of times.
Yeah.
Sometimes you arrive in the country, the next day you're on the road again. You stay out for a number of days, doing things on behalf of the state. So for him, you can somehow pardon him.
But what about the Finance Minister?
Finance Minister, they say Ato is forcing. Yeah. So maybe he stays up late in the office to ensure that it's really
I mean, there are a lot of engagements as finance minister with different bodies. You recall during that period, between January and March, there was a preparation for the budget and all other meeting stakeholders. So it could be a reason why he's not been there. You have Dr. Pelpo Abdul Rashid, the Minister of Employment and Labor Relations. He was not also in Parliament, engaging, organized labor and other issues. There have been a number of people threatening strikes. You could relate it to that. But when we are done, it would come to the bigger picture of how you deal with executive duties and legislative duties, and the call for the fact that we should separate.
There should be a split.
The members of the executive from the members of the legislature. But John Abdullahi Jinapo, Minister of Energy, he's also one of the ministers who has been listed as not going to Parliament often. You have Kwabena Minta-Kando. I nearly called him a doctor. Kwabena Minta-Kando. He, in the last few months, has been dealing with so many issues, having to deal with strikes by health workers, having to deal with the Ridge Hospital issue, going there, traveling across the country, going to inspect our health facilities and the rest. Taking him away from the House of Parliament, drawing him away from his duties as a legislator. Ibrahim Ahmed, local government. At the time, we realized that the party and the government were also having a lot of issues selecting DCs and MCAs. And he was the main man in charge at the point. So it took him away from Parliament. Dr. Ayine, the Attorney General and Minister for Justice, oral, preparing briefs to go to Parliament, organizing press conference to brief the nation as to what they are doing about their promise to deal with oral. We could attribute that to it. It could be something else, but we could attribute that to it. Emmanuel Amakufibua, the Lands Minister, traveling across the country, Galamsey, issues of illegal mining, having to visit places, making sure that the government's plan or promise to end Galamsey is achieved. Probably that's what took him out of the Parliament in the first quarter of the year. Abla Jifagomashi, the Minister of Tourism, engaging a lot of people, maybe. I'm not too sure, but there were a lot of things she's also been doing. Yeah. Then Mohammed Mubarak Muntaka, Minister of Interior. We started the year with a lot of security issues. Interior Minister having to deal with ensuring national security, extra duty as a national minister in charge of national security, having to deal with a lot of security issues. But like Sami, I said, these people could have genuine reasons for not being in the House to ensure that their legislative work is done. But are these genuine reasons genuine enough, looking at the fact that the Constitution is saying that you take more than 50% of your ministers from Parliament? Is it time that the Constitutional Review Committee looks at this and gives the President the chance to select ministers outside Parliament? People who could spend their time without thinking about going to do parliamentary work. The issue also of separation of powers comes in. Is it time that we relook at this principle of separation of powers, where MPs will be given the opportunity and the chance and the free will to do their work? Because these ministers we've put out there, I'm sure when you go interviewing them, you go questioning them why they were not in Parliament, would point out to their executive duties. Outside the ministers, now they are first-time MPs. People who just entered Parliament. and have been out without a number of times without permission. Who are these people? Topping the list is the MP for Sekendi, Boamah-Nyarko. First time MP, NDC. Ampa Simon, MP Brekum East. First time MP, NDC. 10 times. Bentil Godfred Henry, MP for Mpoho. First time MP.
8 times.
8 times, NDC. Dr. Gideon Boakon, first time MP, MP Tano North. 8 times. Felix Akweteni Okle, first time MP, 8 times. And Gloria Wusu, first time MP, 8 times. This thing, particular list, you realize that the NDC MPs are a lot.
Yeah.
It comes back to the concerns people had that looking at the number of MPs they had and the fact that most of them could not get appointments. What becomes of them?
They need to hustle to make money. Aside parliamentary duties, you know.
Aside parliamentary duties, what becomes of them? Because you have constituents reaching out to them, asking them for help and so many other things. Could this be the reason why they are not there out in their constituencies trying to fix issues? Or some of them just wanting to follow parliamentary or presidential candidates? We need to really look at it and find out why exactly these first-time MPs who are expected to be in the House of Parliament to learn are not being there. And there are a number of them who also did very well by attending every sitting of Parliament. And then these are them: Felicia Eje of Kintampo, Edu Kwesi, Michael Kwesi of Ofori-Kuom. You have Gakpe Kwame of Keta. All of these people, Yusuf Jaja, he's a deputy minister.
Yeah.
Hassan Suini is a deputy minister. All of them ensured that they were in the House of Parliament performing their legislative duties coming.
So there will be no excuse for the others who decided not to come to the House, even though they are ministers and some are deputy ministers.
Yes.
Well, the argument will also come up again, Fred, about the need for the separation of power. But I'm sure at a later date we'll have a conversation about this. Our democracy is practiced with the hybrid system, a bit from the UK and a bit from the US, and so it's a blend of the two. If we decide to go strictly according to separation of powers, will our country's finances be able to support such a practice? It's another conversation I'm sure we'll have, in the days coming.
Democracy, they say, is expensive.
Democracy is expensive, but you do it according to your wallet, according to your pocket. It's been another exciting edition of The Situation that came to you live from our studio here in Accra. My name is Sami Wiafe. His name is Fred Tete Jabano. So we come your way again another time. May the good Lord be with us all.